Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am CA Riddhi Dhoot Kejriwal, and on behalf of the women members Excellence Committee of ICAI, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Yashaswini and Idol Series 24. Yashaswini and Idol is a Wednesday series of programs conducted by the WMEC for the women CAs and by the women CAs. This series is an extension of Sky High Symposium, which concluded its 100 episodes. It is one of the committee's initiatives to not only disseminate information to women members on technical updation and non technical skills, but also to empower and inspire women members to come at forefront and realize their verbal skills at public forum. The driving force behind this remarkable initiative is CA Preeti Paras Savla, our esteemed Central Council member of ICAI and independent director who chairs the WMEC and serves on the Board of Discipline. Internationally, she represents India on the ISSB's Sustainability Standards Advisory Forum and chairs the SAFA Sustainability Board. With governance role in prominent companies like Sun Pharma and IRB Infrastructure, she also holds unique distinctions as India's first social auditor and contributes significantly to social impact initiatives through her roles at the Institute of Social Auditors of India and Social Stock Exchange BSC. I now invite Preeti ma'am to share her views with us.
Um, Thank you, Riddhi. And dear friends, welcome all of you to this 24th series of Yashaswini and Idol. Right? The Yashaswini means a successful women. Idol, we have this theme means idol, which means that in for women, inclusivity, diversity, outstanding. That is what and Yashaswini are successful women and idol. And I welcome all of you to this 24th series of Yashaswini. Friends, this is a remarkable journey to share with all of you that we have about 29.3% women members out of this 4,15,000 members.
Recording in progress.
That this is the world's largest accounting body, and friends know. But then also we have about of female students, and the ministry was asking what all you are doing for your female members for empowering the women. So first of all, let me tell all of you that, friends, do we require any empowerment, or we are already empowered? And that is what I requested last year when I got in charge of this committee. We are already empowerment and requested to rename the Women Members Empowerment Committee. It should be Women Members. It has been unanimously passed by the Council. The 5 years of ICI, we have come out with CA women leadership or in leadership position and motivate others to come up to this position. And that is what we have initiated. And this was appreciated by everyone. We got more than about 100 nominations. See, otherwise we have various awards, but the women participation is very less. And friends, even if we have about 30% of women members, the women in leadership position is less than 3%. And a lot of women are taking break and then they are not coming back into the profession. So accordingly, we have started various initiatives coming out with the Sky High Symposium, giving platform to the women members either as a speaker or the moderator, coming out with this CA Women Leadership Award, or have the series Unleash come out with the any professional work. You go through this Unleash the Potential series, which is there on various professional topics, which is there on the Women Members portal. So again, we have also come out with the portal that is for part-time or the flexi working firms and companies have registered. I request if you wish to have some part-time work or assignment, please enroll yourself on the portal, and I request office to please share the link of this portal to all the and enroll to get the any professional assignment or professional work from your nearby area. You can connect. This is a very interactive portal, and you can connect the members who are there on the portal CA forms. You will be able to find once you register. You will be able to find the CA forms in your area who have registered on the portal. You can connect with them, and your name also will be displayed there, and the firms and the companies also can connect with all of you. So these are certain initiatives which have been taken in last 2 to 3 years, in last 2 years for the women members. And with this, I think a lot of women members have motivated and taken the benefit of this initiatives. And today we have this 24th episode of Yashaswini, and we have the speaker Neeti Gupta. She will be taking us through the income tax relating to the trust, and Lakshmi Sindhu. She is from the southern region, and who also will be taking us through artificial intelligence topic. And we have the moderators, CA Riddhi Dut, Shruti Parikh, Pooja Doshi, and Preksha Choradia. So thank you all, my dear moderators and the speakers, for taking out your very precious time from your very busy schedules and sharing the knowledge and commitments. And today we have a very special guest and my dear friend, CA Geeta Adhyam. She is the first chairperson of the Southern India Regional Council of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and we have invited her to share her thoughts for the women members. And I have observed her doing a lot of in taking a lot of initiatives and doing contributing to the women fraternity and at large for overall membership as well as the students, leading from the front from southern region of ICAI. So now I request, I think, Riddhi, if you can brief about her, and followed by that, I will request Geeta Madam to share her thoughts to motivate our women participants. We have about 1,000 participants across India in this series, and all are taking a lot of benefit out of it. So I request Riddhi to please introduce her formally. Yeah.
Thank you, Preeti ma'am. Okay. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for your warm welcome, insightful and inspiring words. I would now like to welcome CA Geeta AB, our guest of honor for the seminar. CA Geeta AB, chairperson of SIRC of ICAI, is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 2 decades of experience. She also holds qualifications as an insolvency professional, registered valuer, and social auditor. Throughout her career, she has served in various leadership roles, including chairperson of the Bangalore branch of SIRC and vice chairperson of SIRC. Her dedication to the profession and her contribution to various professional forums have earned her accolades, including the Kadamba Ratna Award and the Pakwan Realistic Award 2024 in the finance category. I now invite Geeta ma'am to please speak a few words.
Thank you, Archita, for your nice introduction. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for inviting me here for this seminar, for this program. Really, it's my proud privilege to be here among us you people. This is being my first session addressing throughout India, Western region, including Western region, this women's program on Yashaswini. I heard about this program quite a lot, but the main thing is about the consistency. Really, guys, people are doing consistently doing the program, because so many. Even I also thought of starting this kind of program, but the only thing is for a couple of weeks or few. Initially, we start with a few weeks, and later, because of other one or the other thing, we somehow we cannot continue the program. But here, the commitment and dedication of the committee, headed by Preeti ma'am and all other dignitaries over here, and they're taking their pain and arranging all these programs, and members also contributing from their side consistently. It's really encouraging and appreciative to hear such things. Even as a chairperson of SARC, I have taken an initiative of at least to have a couple of women speakers for our regular events. But somehow, I don't know why I'm not getting. Maybe we may not be reaching the right platform. We are not getting the women speakers in time for that particular topic. In fact, recently I've been discussing with Preeti ma'am for no, for getting the reference for women speakers, and this has happened during my tenure when I was chairman of Bangalore branch. That time also I was the first lady chairperson to Bangalore branch in 2017. That time also I tried to have and to get articles from the student, from women members, from the for our newsletters, and as a resource persons also. But somehow I feel ladies, or no, they're not interested. They are involved in maybe in some or the other ways, and priorities would be more for them. Because of that, they may not come out for no, taking the sessions or involving themselves in such kind of activities. That's what I felt. But uh, but if you compare to other, no, I'm sorry for this gender bias and all, but compared to men, women are so committed, dedicated, and intelligent, and they can spare time. Once they sit, if that is more prominent during our exam results also. And today I'm here attending this orientation program. In orientation program also, most of them are girls. Every five members, I can easily see three or two or three girls. So the number is quite increasing day by day. It is increasing, but still everyone is involved in their own way of either practice or job or in the family matters, and they are not, very few people are coming out for the social life or the leadership side. So I request all the ladies who are here attending today, I request them to come out. Just you come out and see. Just you have to put one step ahead. Your family members will be with you, and they will nudge you to the next level. We feel that we are only the responsible person at home, and without us the family will not no, move further. But it is not that. Everyone will be taking care of you, and women are very much responsible, and you are precious member in the family. So everyone will be, say, in and around you. Without you, they cannot do anything. And that really I have witnessed with one incident. Recently it happened in my apartment. Sorry if I take two more minutes. Yeah, recently it happened in our apartment. One in one floor, the couple was staying, and the husband passed away. So, but the wife survived in some other way, the other way, with the kids and growing them into the next stage, and it didn't make much difference in that. But in other case, the wife expired. Really, we were surprised to see the husband couldn't survive even for a year or 2 years, and he was feeling so lonely, and he couldn't do on his own the things also, because he was. We don't know how the men depend on us, but knowingly, unknowingly, they would be depending on us more. So without us, they could not do anything. That's what we found. No, I have observed. So you have to come out and take the leadership roles and involve yourself, and follow your passion. Everyone will be having one or the other talent inside, but we hesitate to come out because we feel family is first priority. Yes, family is our priority first, but you have to follow your dreams too, no? So please think about that, and you follow your passion. And definitely we wanted to see more and more ladies this side of the stage and being taking the leadership roles and coming out and joining with us in this team. So thanks, madam. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to address the gathering. And I told her, no, I was in this orientation program, but she said, no, it's okay. You can join from wherever you are. You can join. And she helped me a lot during our conference also for no, if when I was searching for the speakers and for other kind of stuff, so immediately she pat my back and she said, we are all with you. You go ahead and whatever help you want, you can ask us anytime. So that was the help extended by Preeti ma'am and her entire team. So thanks a lot. And once again, thank you very much for inviting me here and allowing me to share my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta madam. And I can see your leadership qualities and the motivation which is given by you to everyone a step forward. And that is what is required to come out of the shell and take it further. So I am sure all the best wishes to you for all your leadership qualities and a step forward, which is a slogan by you given to everyone, a step forward. And I really mean that. And just take a step forward and you can do the wonders. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, coming in your busy schedule and addressing everyone and sharing your thoughts. Thank you very much, Geeta.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Over
And
to Riddhi. Yeah.
yes, thank you, Geeta ma'am, for the wonderful words and your insights. We have speakers for our technical sessions with us. Our first speaker is CA Neeti Gupta. She has 12 years of diverse industry experience. CA Neeti Gupta has developed a robust expertise in accounting and compliance. Her career spans multiple sectors, including mutual funds, shipping, and advertising. Currently, she serves as the head of accounts and compliance at a leading renewable energy company. I now request CA Neeti Gupta ma'am to kindly enlighten us. Thank you.
Thank you for hope. I am audible, Reddy. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you for your kind introduction, Reddy. And thanks, Preeti ma'am and other committee members for giving me this opportunity. I will try my best to justify my topic. Please allow me to share my PPT, which I have prepared on my topic. Just give me a second. Today, please confirm if my sheet is visible to all of you. Hope my sheet is visible to all of you. Please confirm.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Today my session is on income tax provision relating to trust and charitable institute. This topic is little bit exhaustive, but still I try to put all the main section in this PPT so that it will be the revision of all the sections. And I've also included in recent amendment in this file so that we will update accordingly. Today we will discuss about the firstly I'm briefing the what we are going to discuss. First is my exemption section provided to trust and charitable. What is the meaning of the charitable purpose? We will discuss section 215 on this. What is the basic requirement for any trust and institute for claiming these exemptions? We will discuss the definition of the income, what is covered under the trust. We will also discuss over the taxation mechanism for any trust and institution. We will discuss what application of income is allowed for any trust and institution. We will discuss the capital gain tax in case of trust and institute. We will also discuss the accumulation of income under section 11.1 and 11.2. We will discuss on taxability of anonymous donation. We will also discuss in what cases any trust or institute can lose the exemptions under section 30. We will discuss about the exit tax in case trust is converting into the non-trust institution under section 115 TD. We will discuss about the details in section 115 BBI, which is more important for non-violation cases. We will discuss in trust registration because in the last 2-3 years, trust is facing so many problems in relating to trust registration. We will discuss in details on that. I've also accumulated the amendment which is proposed in the budget. Some of the amendment is applicable from the 1st October 24 and some is applicable from the 1st May 2025. Briefly, we will also discover about the Form 10B and 10BB as there is a multiple confusion in this. So briefly, I have explained about the 10B and 10BB. So firstly, what is the exemption section? Mainly government has given the exemption under section 1023C and section 12AA12AB. Government has divided the exemption in two sections. Section 23C again divided in two portions. In one cases, approval is not required. A mainly approval is not required in which educational institute or medical institute is totally substantially financed by the government, or educational institute or medical institute has receipt up to the 5 crore. In this case, there is no approval is required. But in second case, there is a approval required. If any case there is the charitable institute and religious trust having the receipt more than 5 crore, in this case, approval is required. And second section, which is giving the exemption under section 11 and 12, I have especially mentioned the first regime and second regime because we will discuss in details in amendment portion, but still I am mentioning that government is planning to merge the first regime of section 1023C to second regime of section 11 and 12. We will discuss in details at the amendment portion. What is the meaning of charitable trust? This is the very important for deciding whether your trust or institute is covered under the exemptions criteria or not. Charitable purpose means any activity which is related to relief of the poor, education, yoga, medical relief, or any activity which is relating to preservation of the environment, any activity which is related to preservation of monuments or place or object of architects or historical interest, the advancement of any other object of general public utility. It means any activity which is utilized for the public, this is covered under the general public utility. But there is some exemptions. If any advancement of any other object of general public utility shall not be considered as a charitable if that trust is doing any trade commerce activity which is not related to use of general public and their receipt is more than 20% of the total receipt in the previous year. In case, it means if you have 100 income and your profit is from business is more than 20% of total receipt, then you are not eligible for the considering as the charitable institution. For requirement of claiming exemption under section 11, there is some special requirement which every trust or institute needs to be followed. It should be registered under the PCIT and CIT. Books and records needs to be maintained at the register locations, or books of accounts can be maintained at such other location, but in that case, board resolution need to be passed. That board of director may decide. Section 11(4)(a), if any trust is involved in the business activity, in this case, separate books of accounts needs to be maintained. But if a business is incidental to the attainment of the object of the trust, then obviously there is no requirement to maintain the separate business record books of accounts. But in case this is related to business income, which is not related to incidental to the object of the trust, then separate books of accounts needs to be maintained by the trust. Financial statement has to prepare every year for any trust and any institution. Audit is also required if any trust and institution has the income exceeding the maximum amount chargeable to the tax. It means 2,50,000. When you are calculating the maximum amount, at that time, corpus funds should be included. If any income is exempt under section 10, at that time that amount should not be included for calculating the maximum amount. Audit report needs to be submitted before 1 month prior to the due date of the income tax return. What is the income for any trust? Voluntary contribution. Any person can give the contribution voluntary to any trust. Donation corpus. Corpus means in case donor is giving any specific donation with the specific direction, that it will be the cover under the corpus donation. Anonymous donation. In some cases, donor doesn't want to maintain the identity, or donee has not maintained the record of identity and particular of the donor. That is the anonymous donation. In case here we should note that they mention that the name and address of the donor, not the PAN number of the donor. They want that at least name and address of the donor should be maintained by the trust. At any income which arise during the course of the trust business, capital gain from assets held under trust, this is the income. For taxation mechanism, government is very clear. For any charitable trust and institution, they should apply 85% of income should be applied in the previous year. Income 15% can be freely accumulated and set apart for trust purpose in India. All the funds should be utilized in India, except that you have the FCRA registration and you got the approval from the CBDT. 15% can be accumulated indefinite period. There is no mention period in which they can accumulate. Application of money. This is also very important section where trust can apply our income. Any expense incurred for charitable and religious purpose, it may be revenue and capex, both expenses trust can apply. Payment of taxes, even though for companies perspective, payment of tax is not allowed as the expenditure, but in case of trust or institution, government has given the concession to trust. It is allowable as the expenses for charitable and institution. Recently, on 16th March 2024, government has come up with the circular of 3/2024, in which government has decided that any trust can give donation to other charitable and religious purpose which has the same objective. But main thing is that for trust and institution, cash basis of accounting should be followed. It means whatever expenses you have paid till the date of the return, that exemption you can take. Otherwise, this is not allowable during the previous year. We will discuss about the circular 3/2024, as this is the new section and this is main section right now. Whatever you are donating to the trust or institution, 100% is not allowable as the application of money. Only 85% of the donation given to trust and institution, it is allowable as expenses. 15% of such donation, if you will see in the trust, there is a say 85% should be applied for the charitable and trust purpose. 15% can accumulate, but there is a mandatory law that 15% should be invested under section 11(5) mode, not other than that. But under this circular, if you are giving any donation to the trust, 85% you can claim as a donation, but 15%, for 15%, it is not mandatory that you should invest in the specified mode under section 11(5). In which I have also given the circular number reference, in which they have given the examples. It will brief you the idea about the circular. We have trust 1, we have trust 2 and trust 3. Trust 1 has given some donation to trust 2 and trust 2 has given some donation to trust 3. Suppose trust 1 has the income of 300. As per the rule, 85% needs to be applied during the previous year, in which trust 1 has given 100 rupees donation to trust 2. It means 85% of 100 rupees can be considered as an application of money during the previous year. Balance is your 200. in which 85% needs to be spent during the year, it means 170. So what you have not spent is 30 rupees. 30 rupees has to be invested under section 11.5 mode. As Trust 2. Trust 2 has received 100 rupees donation from Trust 1. 85% needs to be invested, and Trust 2 has applied 85% for the charitable purpose. It means 15% Trust 2 has not expensed during the previous year, but as per this circular, Trust 2 doesn't need to invest in under section 11.5 mode. This is not required as per this circular. Trust 3. Trust 3, which we have received, the Trust 3 has received the donation of 100 rupees from Trust 2. As per the Trust Act, 85% needs to be applied for the charitable purpose, in which if he has applied 85% for the charitable purpose, then 15 rupees obviously then needs to be invested in 11.5. Hope I am clear about the circular 3 2024. Capital gain exemption. As company is concerned, as individual is concerned, there is a little bit different to calculation of the capital gain, so that I have added capital gain in this. If trust is earned during the year, if trust is earned any capital gain and reinvesting for the charitable purpose, then it shall be deemed to be applied for the charitable purpose. In case if your cost of new asset is greater than net consideration from asset, all the capital gain will be considered as deemed as application. If your cost of new asset is less than your net consideration from asset transfer, then your purchase of new asset minus cost of the transfer asset will be deemed as the application. For capital gain, for trust perspective, it is very good. They have no given any timeline for the reinvestment. No minimum period of holding is given. However, government has not given any holding period, but it is advisable keep the investment till the end of the year, so that assessing officer will not come up to check your documents and all. Government has also not given any particular asset. Company can invest in any permissible assets. Even though trust has the option to reinvest in the next year, but trust has to file the form 9A with the details. I've also given the just example of the calculation of the capital gain. It will be easy to understand. In the scenario 1, my net consideration was 1 lakh. My cost of old asset was 40,000, in which I have earned the capital gain of 60,000. Suppose I have invested in new asset is 80,000. My shortfall is reinvested is 1 lakh minus 80,000. It means 20,000 we have not invested. The capital gain deemed to have been applied for charitable purpose is only 40,000, limited to the your cost of new assets. Scenario 2, in case your net consideration is 1 lakh, your cost of asset is 50,000. You have earned the capital gain of 50,000, but you have invested in new asset is 1 lakh. It means 50,000 will be capital gain of 50,000 will be deemed to have been applied for charitable purpose. In case any asset which is used for the charitable and other purpose as well, then all the amount which I have mentioned, it will be proportionately till the some of the transaction government has restricted that it will not consider as the application of money as corpus donation. As I mentioned that corpus donation which is given with the specified time limits and specified use. Corpus donation will not be treated as the application of money in the year of spending. It will be treated as application in the year of reinvested and repaid. Any loan or borrowing will not be treated as application in the year. It will consider as application of income in case the year of repaid. In case TDS was not deducted, in any transaction in which TDS is applicable and trust or institution has not deducted TDS, then like 30% of such expenses will not be considered as the application of money. If payment is more than 10,000 under section 48(3) in cash will not be considered as the application of money. Any money which is utilized outside India, it will not consider as the application of money. Only it is allowable if spent after the approval of CBDT. It means you have to register an FCRA and CBDT, you have to take the approval from CBDT. Section 11(1)(a), it's saying that in case of trust, whatever income you have earned, 85% you have to expense during the previous year for the charitable and institution purpose. 15% you can accumulate for the indefinite period. But in case trust was unable to spend 85% of the income due to any reason, maybe income has not received during the year or any reason. So section 11(1)(a) is allowed any person any trust who is unable to spend 85% of income, that if income has not received, the trust can accumulate till the suppose trust has received the money in case of 23-24. If trust has not received the money in 23-24 and received the money in 24-25, it means section 11(1) is allowable the trust to utilize that fund in 24-25 and 25-26. It means 2 years is allowable under section 11(1)(a) to trust to accumulate this income for 2 years. It means they can spend within the 2 years. For any other reason, if reason is not specified, amounts needs to be spent in subsequent year. It means if you have mentioned that 15% you cannot, you are unable to spend due to the some reason, in that case you have to spend that much amount in 24-25. You will not allow to spend this in much in 24-25. There is 25-26. Sorry. So it means there is a little bit different. In case you have money you have not received, you will get 2 years to spend that money. In case you have received but you have accumulated for any other reason, in that case you will receive only 1 year concession for spend that money. For getting this concession, you have to fill Form 9A before filing of the return. But as per section 11, there is a mention that section 9, Form 9A and Form 10A needs to be filed before 2 months of the income tax return. It means 31st August. But in the case of in something May 23, government has issued a notice in which it was not year particular that allows to file this form before the due date. But I will advise, if you are ready, you can file till 31st August. In case you are not ready, then you can take the benefit of this circular because the year is not mentioned in that particular circular. In case of belated filing of 9A, even though CBDT has rights to give the condonation of delay up to 3 years. This CBDT circular was issued on 19th July 22. Section 11(2)(a). This is also related to accumulation of income. But this section is allowable if any trust wants to accumulate or set apart of accumulated fund for the longer period, not for 1 year or 2 years. They can accumulate the fund for 5 years. For 11-12, trust has to be filed the Form 10. As I mentioned that this should be filed before 2 months of the filing the return, but you can take the benefit of 23 circular and can file before the filing of the return. Form 10, you have to mention the purpose for which income is accumulated or set aside. Multiple purpose you can define, but I will suggest that you can mention some common factors so that it will not hit your assessment or it will not hit at the time of replying to assessing officer. That amount needs to be invested or deposit in forms of mode specified under section 11(5). During the 5 years, purpose can change. If trust, in the case of Form 10, if you have mentioned something other purpose or you want to change the purpose during 5 years, that you can change. But for that, you need to take the approval from AO. If accumulated income is not utilized for the purpose in which it is accumulated, shall be deemed to the income of the previous year being the last previous of which it is accumulated. It means in the 5th year, if you are not able to spend the money for a specified period, in the 5th year it will be taxable. It will be the taxable amount accumulation cannot be used for donation to the other trust. That needs to be mentioned, that amount of accumulation, what amount you have accumulated, you cannot be utilized for donating to other trust. Donation to other trust is allowable in case of dissolution of the trust, otherwise it is not allowable. Anonymous donation, section 115 BBC. Section 115 BBC says if donee has not maintain the name and address of the donee. In that case, section 115 BBC will attract. It will call as a anonymous donation. It will be taxable in the following entity if any trust is wholly for charitable trust, and if in case there any trust is partially religious and partially charitable trust. It will be taxable at the rate of 30% to the extent if donation amount exceeding higher of 5% of total donation received by trust or rupees 5 lakh. It will be the taxable to the extent of this limit. Section 115 BBC is not applicable for the religious trust. This point needs to be noted for religious trust and institution. This was section 115 BBC is not applicable, but if any trust is created for partially charitable and partially religious trust, then 115 needs to be followed. Section 13 is little bit relating to violation of the requirement as per the trust. In the following case, any trust can lose the exemptions. If any income is for the income of private religious purpose, will not get the benefit of the exemptions. Income of trust for the benefit of particular religion or caste, it will not. In that case, trust will not get the exemptions. Any income trust which benefits for certain purposes, which is defined under section 13(1)(c), the author of the trust or the founder of the institute, any person who has made a significant contribution till the previous year is more than 50,000. Till the previous year, it means if you are filing the return for 23-24, then 50,000 amounts needs to be calculated from starting to till 31st March 24. Where such trust founder or person is a member of the Hindu divided family, any trust of the trust or manager, any person related to such author, founder, person, member, trust, any concern in which any of the person mentioned in above clause is substantially interest. If it means any founder person, if trust has done some expenditure for the specified person, any concern, if these persons are the substantially interest in that concern, then trust can lose the exemptions. If trust has not invested or deposited the fund under section 11(5), then any trust, it's a section 13. In that case, section trust can lose the exemption which is provided by the government to the trust or institution. Section 115 TD, it's relating to exit tax. It is that when any trust is converted into any form which is not eligible from the grant of the registration, then your exit tax will be applicable on the trust. If the register granted to it under section 12 AA has been cancelled because of any reason, if trust has adopted or undertaken modification of its object which do not related to the public benefit, then obviously trust will lose the benefit of the exemption. If trust is merged with an entity which is not having similar object, trust failed to transfer upon dissolution all the assets within 12 months after the dissolution take place. In all the cases, the trust has to pay the excess tax under section 115 TTB. Rate of the accredited income is the maximum marginal rate. Trust has to pay the tax on the maximum marginal rate. Section 115 BBI. Section 115 BBI is become applicable when an organization fails to comply with the condition under Section 11 with regards to application of money. Section 115 BB is specific. If trust is not following the requirement for the application of money, in that case, trust have to pay the taxes. Income applied outside India without the permission of CBDT, then it will not consider as the application of money. Income under Section 11(1)(a), where an organization fails to apply income after considering in deem application by filing Form 9A. In case you have trust, any trust has filed the Form 9A and committed that in subsequent year or following the receipt of the year, and trust was unable to spend that money, in that case, trust has to pay the taxes under Section 115 BBA. Income under Section 11(3), wherein any organization fails to apply income after accumulating by filing Form 10A, it means within 5 years, if trust is unable to spend the money. Value of any medical or educational services provided to interested person, which I have mentioned in the last slide. Well, violation of any condition specified under Section 12A. It means trust has not filed the income tax return, non-obtaining and furnishing of the audit report, non-maintenance of the books of accounts as required, non-applying for renewal of registration or for making the provisional registration or normal registration, non-applying for re-registration for confirming the modification. If in case trust is modifying any object, in case trust has to report to income tax within 30 days. If trust is unable to, then Section 115 BB will be applicable. Violation of Section 13(1), income applied for the private religious purpose, income applied for particular religious committee, benefit to interest person, invest of funds in any unspecified manner. Incidental business activity in excess of 20% of gross receipt, anonymous donation in excess of exemption limit, then Section 115 BBI will be applicable, and there will be the flat income tax rate 30% plus surcharge plus cess. This is related to trust registration, which trust is struggling from last 2-3 years. For trust for provisional registration, trust has to be filed Form 10A 1 month before the commencement of the activity, from which the registration is sought. In case provisional registration, conversion of the provisional registration into regular registration at least 6 months before the expiry or within 6 months of the commencement of its objective activity, whichever is earlier, the trust has to be filed for the renewal of the regular registration. Renewal of the registration approval after 5 years. In case your 5 years has been completed, you are filing the renewal, then at least 6 months prior to the expiry of the said registration, you have to file the Form 10AB. Form 10A, 10AB, with the recent notification 7/2024, government has extended the timeline till 30th June 24. But we will discuss in amendment portion. There is a separate clause in which government has given the condonation rights to the commissioner. Amendment. Now we will, as I mentioned in the first slide, there is a 2 sections, Section 1023C and other side Section 11 and 12. One Section 1023, there is a 2 criteria. In one cases approval is required and in other cases approval is not required. In which approval is required, government is planning to merge both the sections 1023C and Section 11 for easiness of the trust and institution. Obviously, it's a welcome move. It will applicable from 1st October 2024. For what till now, what government has proposed, that application already filed before 1st October 24, government will consider in the first regime itself. It means 1023C. After 1st October 2024, government will not accept any any application under section 1023C. If a trust is already approved, institution is already approved under section 1023C, then this section will be applicable till that time will expire. Certain eligible mode of government has also planned that certain eligible mode of invest under the first regime will be protected in the second regime by way of the amendment in section 30. This will come up after some time. Government has not clarified what modification they are doing, but they are planning to do the modification. It means modes of the investment which is allowable under section 1023C will remain allowable in section 1112. Government has also given, as I mentioned, that last 2-3 years trust is facing many problems relating to the registration because commissioner doesn't have any rights to condone the delay. But as per the amendment, it's a very welcome move from the government side. They have given the power of condonation of delay to the commissioner. Even the last extension was 30th June, but with the approval and with the specific reason, if AO is satisfied, if commissioner is satisfied, they can provide the condonation of delay to the trust. ATG, in case ATG approval, in case of ATG approval, deduction is allowed for the donor, as all of you are aware. Now, ATG application has also mentioned that a specified limit, trust has to be applied within a specified limit for getting the ATG approval. Now, government has come up with the great changes in which they have proposed that any trust can apply ATG application at any time after commencement of business. It means specified time limits they have removed. Even though the government has also to speed up the process, government has proposed that commissioner is required to pass the order within 3 months after receipt of the application. Currently, it's a 6 month. But to speed up the process, government has mentioned that it should be all the applications should be approved or rejected within a 3 months. But for ATG, there is a one clause that 12A registration is mandatory. Without 12A registration, you cannot go for ATG certification. Even though ATG has the time limit that you can apply at any time, but for 12A, there is a specified time limit. Except that the commissioner has given a specific condonation for a specific reason. Section 115 TD is applicable. As I mentioned that in case of some specific exit tax is applicable, then a specified person is converted into any ineligible form, merge with another entity, fails to transfer its assets within the prescribed time limit. In case government has proposed to insert 12AC, in case of mergers, the government has prescribed the condition which a merger shall not be taxable under section 115 TD. It means exit tax will not be applicable if other trust or institution has same or similar objects. The other trust or institute is registered under 12AA, 12AB. The said merger fulfills such condition as may be prescribed. This amendment will be applicable from 1st April 2025. But the last condition, the said mergers fulfill such condition as may be prescribed. Till now, government has not prescribed any specific condition. We will little bit go through on the 10B. I think we are getting short of time, but still I will go through. Give me a, shall I proceed for 5 minutes? Hello. Form number 10B is applicable where the total income of trust of other institute without giving effect to the mentioned clause exceeds rupees 5 crore during the previous year. In case trust has to be filed the audit report in 10B. That receipt should be on the basis of gross receipt, not net receipt should be considered. For considering the total income of the trust, sub clause 4, 5, 6 and 6A of the clause 23C of section 10, section 11 and 12 of the Act. If auditee has received any foreign contribution during the previous year, if auditee has applied any part of its income outside India during the previous year, then trust has to file the audit report in 10B. 10BB, it's a different form. For other cases, it's a 10 BB, but there is a specific section which is mentioned, which is added in 10 BB. I will go through on that. What is that 10 BB? General information in which they have asked about the basic details, legal, how trust has been formed, whether the trust deed has been signed, what is the management, when they have commencement of the activity, detail of place where books of accounts needs to be maintained, computation of income in which they have mentioned the clause 40. Voluntary contribution, you have to mention the total voluntary contribution. It may be anonymous donation, application outside India, voluntary contribution required to be applied by the auditee during the previous year. Income to be applied, whatever income to be applied, there is a section where you have to mention that what incomes needs to be applied. Application of income and taxable income, how you have applied that income, that you have to mention in this portion. What amount you have applied or actually paid, and what you have accumulated for the next year. Application of money out of the different sources, that you have to mention. 10 BB, income not subject to application, section 115 BBI, anonymous donation you have to mention. Other panel provision, it means 1333 and 1332 transactions you have to. A specified violation of 12 AB4. 12 AB4 is specific, in which trust is saying if any business income which is not incidental, specified violation they have mentioned under 12 AB4. Other compliances you have mentioned that claim of depreciation and tedious compliances. Form 10B, they have asked some additional details which is not mentioned under section form 10BB. It's a in the general information they have added the registration details and objects. Then auditors needs to check with the AOA, and they also can take the management representation from the trust. Additional section in which you have to maintain the business details. Computation of income they have added under section form 10B. You have to mention the capital asset under section 10A, and you have to also provide the details if you have payment or credited the 50 lakh to a single person during the previous year. Addition in form 10B, again income subject to application. Other income not subject to application you have to mention in clause 35. Other panel provision 1310 and 22nd proviso of section 1023C you have to mention if applicable. Other compliances you have to also mention. Tedious on receipt. Expenditure incurred for religious purpose. Claim of depreciation you have to mention under section 10. Loan taken accepted exceeding limit under section 269 SS. Received and an amount under section 269 ST. Loan repaid exceeding limit under section 269 T. So now 10B and 10BB is little exhaustive. You have to be cautious before filing the 10B and 10BB, because government is also planning to match, maybe because portal is also updated, maybe they will check the figures along with income tax return figures along with 10B and 10BB. Then any auditors needs to little bit cautious before filing 10B and 10BB. Income tax return as concerned, ITR 7 needs to be filed for any trust and institution. Due date is 31st July if audit is not applicable. 31st October if audit is mandatory. This is the timeline for income tax return. Done from my side. Hopefully in the little bit time I tried to justify this topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, Niti ma'am, for the insightful session. There are few questions which are there, which people have raised. So I'll quickly go through the questions.
Sorry, you are not audible.
Yeah, just a moment.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are few thanks. Thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful session. Due to paucity of time, I won't be able to take up all the questions, but certain questions I'll bring up to you. First question is from Delhi. It is saying, what is the due date of for filing Form 10B?
10B is before 1 month of income tax return.
Before 1 month of income tax return.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Another question is, what are the tax? It is from Hyderabad. What are the tax liability compliance required for a private family trust? Which form of ITR to be filed and whether individual tax slabs applicable?
Individual tax liability is applicable for private trust as well. Whatever I mentioned in the section, this is also applicable for private trust, except that trust registration for income tax perspective is mandatory, but for trust registration, trust deed registration is not mandatory as per the Trust Act.
Okay. Ma'am, one more question. One last question. Uh, just a moment. Huh. Is it possible for a government company, central public sector undertaking to register on social stock exchange as a Section 8 company?
No, because this is not for the public utility, you cannot register under trust. And as per my understanding, you cannot register because this is not for the public benefit.
Okay. And ma'am, some people are asking for the PPT from you. Is it possible to share the PPT?
Surely. I will share this
Yeah.
PPT
Thank
with
you so much, ma'am, for the insightful session and answering the queries. I think there is one more last question which is there. Whether CSR expenditure towards construction of a school building can be treated as other than purpose. Uh, any idea on this?
No, I don't have any idea about the
Okay.
CSR activities.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you.
ma'am. These are
Thank
the
you so much.
questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Over the mic to Preksha.
Hello everyone,
Hello,
and
ma'am.
yeah, thank you Niti for your deliberations, and it really goes well. Thank you so much. And advancement in chip technology, Lakshmi. Hi Sindhu, how are you? I am sure you are doing good, and we were together at Rishikesh. So I am happy to see you. And artificial intelligence is really playing a very important role. And one such initiative we have taken at ICAI is that, friends, let me tell all of you, is about ICI called Sahayata. And in that, what we have done, I requested president in the first year in this term when I got entered into the council, and what we have requested that this is a lot of members are asking if we are not getting any response from ICI. There is no one to answer our call, and at that time we requested to have this ICI called Sahayata, and sir has made one group, and I was also part of that group, and we started this ICI called Sahayata. And in that, whenever, if you say for example Lakshmi, if Lakshmi Sindhu is calling, so this is from morning 9 to evening 9. If someone calls, now if Lakshmi is calling, so this number 9995 the ICI will pick up the call and will say, welcome to ICI, hello CA, Lakshmi Sindhu Dondeti, how can we help you? And this is how it will recognize from your registered number, mobile number, and and you will feel so good when ICI is telling about your name. And in say about 18 months, we have successfully answered about 13 lakhs calls from members and students, and this is how is our service to the nation and ICI members and students. Along with that, we have also done a lot of work relating to the sustainability and social stock exchange, and I was heading this sustainability reporting standard board, and at that time we have worked so hard. We have brought out this Institute of Social Auditors of India, which is this 100% subsidiary of ICI, and brought this concept of social auditors, which is non-financial audit, which is open to chartered accountants, and ours is the first this SRO who is regulating the social auditors. So this is a great opportunity to all of you to become the social auditor and register with give the exam which is conducted by NISM SEBI and become the social auditor registered with ISAI, and you can do the social impact assessment, social audits for the NGOs which are listed on social stock exchange, and huge area now with the efforts what we have put is open, is a sustainability is open to chartered accountants also, and India is pioneer in this also. So with these words, I am opening this area of sustainability, and where artificial intelligence is also playing a very important role. And I am thankful to Sindhu, who has agreed to take this session at very short notice. And Prasanna sir is always our mentor as a senior Central Council member, and I've always been happy to take his guidance and on any point of time. And he has been very kind and helpful. And even if he is from southern region, we have never felt, but we always felt that he is a very senior and very respectable member of ICAI, and as a Central Council member. And I know Prasanna sir since last several years, since my regional time, and he used to come for a region in WIRC because he was on disciplinary bench, Sindhu. And we used to have lunch together various times, and he has always been supportive and helpful. So I'm thankful to you for taking this session, coming over here and sharing your very, very valuable knowledge. Sindhu is very active and having a great knowledge in this artificial intelligence. So thank you very much, Sindhu, and very, very active. And sir always tells about her, and I am very much impressed about her. So thank you, and over to moderator.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll just give a brief profile of Miss Lakshmi Sindhu. So she's a senior design engineering manager at AMD Hyderabad. We had nearly 15 years of experience in the VLSI industry. She leads a team of almost 40 engineers and has previously worked with Intel and Qualcomm. Holding an MS in VLSI engineering from New York University, Ms. Sindhu is recognized for her significant contributions in leadership in semiconductor technology. Welcome, Sindhu ma'am. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you, Preeti ma'am, for the opportunity. It is my pleasure to be part of the CA community and just share whatever knowledge I have. So I know all of you.
So, Sindhu, I also want to share one saying, one sentence. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was with this SBI, RBI, and everyone, and where SBI chairman has said this: we are a technology company, and we do banking, right? And when sitting at this National Stock Exchange Clearing Limited on the board, these people are saying that we are the technology company and we do the transactions. So everything is driven by technology. So now, as a chartered accountant, what I feel, we also have to devise that we are the technology company and technology firm, and we are doing some consulting. And that is the importance and the role of technology. And this AI in this advancement in cheap technology also will really helpful as a chartered accountant. And that is where the importance of this session is very huge. And thanks for you being here. And this will add a lot of value to our members. Thank you very much. Yeah, over to Sindhu.
Yeah, okay, let me get started.
Yes. I wanted to share the importance of technology.
Yeah, sure. So today, I think I'll just go over the agenda. So technology or semiconductor as the industry I come from, right? So I just want to give a little bit introduction into the semiconductor industry and what role India is playing now, trying to become a semiconductor giant like many other companies, many other countries in the world. And then I'll talk a little bit about the advancements in the chip technology or 2 or 3 examples to just give an insight into how big the market is going to be, or where all the presence is going to be felt. So before I just move on to semiconductor industry introduction, right? As many of you have been saying earlier, so and even as Preeti ma'am said, she just told when a call is being made to the ICAI call center, so it addresses you with your name. So it's all that is data, correct? So there's a lot of data around us these days, and there's a lot of data processing that is done. So data, they say, is the new oil. So like how oil use is like, oil companies or oil countries which produce oil are like the main giants that we have. Nowadays, they say data is the new oil. So with the data that you have, you can, create new data from it. You can post-process the data. You can analyze it and use in many ways and make it more interactive. All this is done with the help of something called electronic chips. So that is where semiconductor industry or semiconductor platform comes into picture. AI or whatever you talk about, there is a software component involved there, but everything, the base and the heart of the processing happens on a chip. And that is what is the base for the semiconductor industry. So in today's session, I just want to give a little bit introduction on what is the semiconductor industry, what is the role that the industry plays. And then as I said, I'll talk a little bit about what are the initiatives India government is taking to have our place presence in the market and the advancements. So talking about the semiconductor industry, right? Semiconductor materials as such, if you take, right, they are not like, regular conductors or insulators that you have, but basically they are somewhere in between a conductor and an insulator, wherein, it will help you to get some kind of operation done. So typically when you hear the word chips, so electronic chips that you talk about or ICs, there are many words you hear around you, right? You hear microchip, you hear silicon chip. So basically this semiconductor material that we talk about is fabricated, and it basically is the small, it's the size of a small stone, I can say. In that very small stone, you can fit millions and billions of transistors and logic, so which can do very complex operations. So the best example is your mobile phone. So your mobile phone, the heart of the mobile phone is a very small chip. So the chip will be the size of, probably 1 inch by 1 inch, or even smaller than that, half inch by half inch. So, but that chip controls your entire mobile, whether the phone calls that you make, the video, interface that you have, or the maps software that is launched, everything is being controlled by that particular chip. So typically, wafers is something that are first built, and then from the wafer, a wafer will have a many small chips in that. You cut it, and then it becomes a small chip, and that is then packaged. So if you see at the right side, so it is just packaged. So the chip is very small, but there's a bigger packaging unit around it because the components around it are very huge. So let's talk about the semiconductor industry sales. Global sales in semiconductor industry, if you talk about 2023, it is around 534 billion US dollars. So, and predictions say that we are expected to see a double-digit growth. This is considering many factors, as I said, right? Because the data handling is becoming complex day by day. There's a lot of data around you. Even while you talk, your phone is trying to register and capture the words that you say. So there's a lot of data processing that is happening behind the scenes. Even when you talk over the phone, and then after some time a pop-up in in Instagram or Facebook comes saying, "Oh, are you interested? Are you planning to have a travel to Bali or something?" So there's a lot of data processing that happening behind the screens, and all this data processing happens on the chip. So that is why it is expected to see a double-digit growth in the future years. So coming to talk about the semiconductor industry as such, right? So basically, semiconductor industry, the main, first company or the manufacturer that I have to talk about is a fab. Fab or fabrication plants are companies where you design everything, you even produce them, and you assemble them and package them. It's like a full cycle. If you see here, you design, you do a production, you do an assembly, you do an inspection, and then you send it for distribution. The entire process, if it is done, that is called a fab. Fabs require a lot of investments. It is billions of dollars, and India doesn't have a fab as of date. India doesn't have a fab, and there are many countries which manufacture chips, but they are like they do not have a fab. So only few companies which I can say have fabs are Intel and Samsung. Then the next set of companies that we have are foundries. Foundries are something which don't design anything as such, but they only do a production for you. That means you have your own design ready. Let's suppose you have a chip, which has to go into your computer. So the chip is designed by a team of people somewhere from US or Europe, and then it is sent to a foundry only for manufacturing. So the few companies which come under the foundries are TSMC, which is Taiwan based, and Global Foundries, which is Asia based basically. So, and then we have fabless companies. So fabless are which don't have a manufacturing unit of their own, but they have their own design centers. They take the spec, like they understand what is the spec that you have, whether it's a a processor that you want to design, or whether it is a cell phone that you want to design. So they take the spec and they do the design, and then they send it to the foundry. So companies like Qualcomm, Nvidia, AMD are companies which are fabless. They do not have a fab, but they have their own design houses. So what do you need to run a fab? Fab, as I said, there are very high investment cost companies, and they have to be on trend with the technology process that is changing. So technology changes very fastly. Like currently we are in something called 7 nanometer technology. So 7 nanometer, when I say technology, it is how smaller the device is. So the plan is to even move on to 3 nanometer, 2 nanometer technology. So that means we are trying to shrink the chips smaller and smaller in size. Because if you look at older cell phones, they used to be very huge, correct? So as we are, proceeding year and year in technology, the size of the chips are shrinking, and they're trying to push in more logic into the chip. So that is where a fab that is there should always be on par with the process technology, and it has to make sure the shrinking of the chip is going further. Okay. Next, as I was saying earlier, I just want to show in the form of a diagram. As I said, we have fabless companies which do design only. Then there is something called a design house, which acts as a bridging between the foundry, and the foundry is where only the production happens. Okay, and two other terminologies which I want to introduce, right? You hear something called IP companies sometimes. So IP companies design certain modules of your circuit or processor that you have. They don't design the full chip or the device. They design only like few modules, and they give it to the fabless companies. And fabless companies try to integrate all these different modules, and then they build some kind of a device out of it. If you have data centers will be requiring like different components. So different IP companies will be providing the libraries, and the fabless company will try to integrate all of them, and they build a device out of it. And as I was saying, right, there is something called a foundry which does only manufacturing. Similarly, after a foundry does only manufacturing, there are certain companies called OSATs, which are outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, OSAT. So which do only the back-end processing. That means they take the chip that is manufactured and they try to assemble and package it. So they do only the back-end processing. That means post-processing of the wafer that I showed in the earlier image. So as you see, right, you have heard different terminologies in the semiconductor industry now. So you have heard about a terminology called fabless. You have heard about design house, foundry, and OSAT, which does only the backend processing, and IP company. So initially, it was not like this. When the semiconductor industry started way back in 1980s, so everything was done by the same company. So there was nothing called a fabless or a foundry. There was no difference. Everything was done by one company. They only used to design everything. They used to do production, and then they used to package and ship the parts. But eventually, slowly, that barrier was becoming bigger, and the entry was becoming difficult for other companies. That is when foundries came into picture. Okay, so the moment foundries came into picture, there are many fabless companies that started, building. So the fabless companies started designing, and they were sending their designs to the foundry, and foundry was doing the manufacturing for them. So I'll just give a quick recap on what I just discussed till now. So IP, it's basically an intellectual property or a block, which is the base for any design. And fabless means you try to take all these IPs and you build a semiconductor out of it, which can do some productive work for you, a chip kind of a thing. And a design house is something which will take the information from the fabless, company, and it will post-process that information and send it to the foundry. And foundry is the place where all these chips are manufactured. So basically, the wafer that you see here is manufactured. Just take a picture. Okay. So the wafer that you see here is basically manufactured in the foundry. And then finally, you have OSATs, which do only the packaging for you. They take the wafer and then they package it and build all the pins, and it can be deployed into any of the machines that you have, whether it's your laptop or whether it's your phone. It is deployed after this the post-processing from the OSAT is done. Now let's talk a little bit on the revenues and numbers. So first, company-wise, right, you have companies like Intel, Samsung, Qualcomm, Broadcom, and all. So the market share that Intel has is 9%. It's the highest market share that any company has. And you mainly have some around, 10 companies which contribute to the entire semiconductor market. The market space is very limited. And because it's very difficult to build a technology company, you need a lot of research and R&D teams which invest years of work that is done to just bring out one chip. So let's suppose you have a chip that is in the market. You take a Benz car or something. So the Benz car or any car that you take, right? There is a main processor chip that will control your GPS or your braking system and many other features in that. So if the Benz car is being launched in 2024, the chip that will go into this Benz car will be in production at least 2 years prior. That means 2022 is when the chip will already be ready. And then the surrounding modules around the chip are built and the product is launched in 2024. So that is how ahead technology companies have to think. So the product launches are always like years later, but the work is done many years prior to that. So the recent growth that you see in semiconductor industry comes from a company called NVIDIA. NVIDIA has done some remarkable, chip development using AI. So AI is all about training certain modules and I can't say replacing humans, but it can do some kind of processing better than what a general human can do. Let's suppose a person can take 10 hours of time to process certain data. If you feed that same data to a AI chip and ask it to process, it will process the data in a very effective manner within an hour. So when you look at it, right, the output is the quality is much higher. It is little error free because it uses certain algorithms to generate. So NVIDIA had a very good, it was able to capture a lot of the AI market considering ChatGPT and the recent AI booms that we had. So before I go further into Indian market study and what all initiatives Indian market is taking and the presence we are going to have in semiconductor industry, I would just want to touch base on few classification of chips that we have. So one is the logic chips. Logic chips are basically, as I was saying, the ones that go into your computer, your GPUs, CPUs, any processing unit that you have, right? Your mobiles, everything is a data processing chip. And then you have memory chips. You have big data centers. So whatever data that is getting stored, right? All these is being pushed into certain memories. So the data centers are placed at different locations in different countries. So the entire data is getting stored somewhere. Let's suppose to take the example of your Google Photos or something. So all your photos are being stored in some data storage unit elsewhere in the world. So memory chips fall under that category. They can only store the data. They don't do any kind of processing. They just store the data for you. And you have many other chips like analog, sensor, microprocessor, FPGAs. So these are different types of chips based on the purpose. You have different types of chips that are manufactured. So as I was saying, right, you have logic chips, you have memory chips, and you have certain other analog or sensor-based chip. But the new industry that is seeing a significant market growth is the automotive chips. So we are talking a lot about self-driving cars and everything, right? So that means everything has to be processed by your car. So you see a person coming in front of you. That means your vehicle should understand, your sensor should first detect there's a person coming. It should apply the brake for you, stop, and it should again sense the person has crossed, and then it should again release the brake and start the car. So it's not just about, braking. There are many other features, whether it is, rain coming. So that means your wipers have to turn on, or might be some, if there is no light, it's some parking lot that you have entered and there is no light. Your light sensor should understand, and then it should turn on the lights of your car. So there are many different features. When there's an accident that occurs, your airbags, how they open up, and the number of airbags that open up. So there's a lot of data processing that is happening. So there's a lot of data that we are capturing through different sensors in the car now. And then there's a lot of data processing that is happening. So that is why these days we see a significant growth in the automotive ICs. And here in automotive ICs, the production quality has to be very high. When you're talking about a car, or it might be even a Boeing airplane and everywhere, right? So the quality is very, very important. So you can't have any room for error. If the chip is not working as per the quality, it can result in life and death of a person. So when chips are designed, there's a lot of effort that goes in to make sure the quality is maintained. And if you talk about the overall market distribution, so the PC and the communications of the mobile market occupy around 56% of the semiconductor industry that we have. Automotives occupy around 14%, and all these consumer, like whether it is your gaming stations, your washing machines, and all other household items, they occupy around 14%. And industry-wise, and even government sectors also, they have around 2%. So this is the overall market distribution for semiconductor industry. So now when we talk about the semiconductor design chain, right, as I was saying earlier, first you need a design, you need some purpose for which you're designing. So you first understand, okay, I'm designing for so-and-so car. So these are the features that are required for the car. So that is when you start coding. We have a different coding language. So based on the coding, there's certain softwares that are present. There are certain IPs that come from different companies. Using the software and the IPs that come from different companies, a design is put together and a spec is first discussed upon and implemented. Once that is done, that implemented design is sent for fabrication. So wherein, as I said, wafers like these will be built. So if you look at the wafer, it is like a grid which is having small partitions, right? Each partition or each square that you see in the wafer becomes a unit for us. Yeah, so that unit is again packaged as you see the black portion that you see here. So there's a packaging that is added around with pins added, and this is what goes into your computers or any deployment station. So if you talk about now the design market share, so all this is about designing things and everything, right? So US is market does most of the designing for us. So in the upcoming years, we are expecting to see other companies taking a little lead. So China is taking a little lead in occupying a little of the design space and coming up with different IPs. So, but this is some space where there's a potential chance for India to enter, because India might be around like 4 lakhs, 3 to 4 lakhs of semiconductor engineers or VLSI engineers. So, and there's a lot of youth in the country. So if we can, train people better in this space and give the right platform for them to grow, we can capture a little of this design space wins. So same thing I'm just putting from an application market share. US always leads with 30-35% of the market share. Taiwan and Korea mostly are into the implementation or the fabrication and assembly portion of it. And the rest of the world, they share around like 10 to 15% of the market share. And all this is from the design, implementation, or the fabrication point of view. Okay, now let's talk about India's, projection that we have. If you have seen recent PM Narendra Modi's address, so he has mentioned about something called India's Decade. So he said India's Decade is here with 5G chip manufacturing, and we are bringing revolution through digital India to grassroots. This is what he has mentioned. So basically, Narendra Modi's government has come up with an initiative where they are trying to bring 3 semiconductor projects which are worth 1.25 lakh crores, which will be where they'll be starting having facilities in India. So if you look at the 3 different facilities, right, there are 2 that will be coming up in Gujarat. So one is actually a fab. Fab, as I said, it is where actually the chip gets manufactured. And then we have 2 facilities which are OSATs, which are basically once the manufacturing is done. So these are places where the assembly can be done. So there are 2 OSATs, one is in Gujarat and one is in Assam that they are coming up with. So this is in general the roadmap that they have planned. So they're trying to, the government is trying to invite private players, and they're giving some aid and support or to start the semiconductor industry, because there's a huge potential growth here. And once the private players come in, set up their fabs or OSATs, the company is planning to have its own very specific fab to meet all the demands. And whenever you have a fab, you need the supporting OSATs to be present. That is what they plan to extend next. And they want to, India is also one of the biggest consumers of this semiconductor industry. If you look at even mobiles, right? So a lot of us, I mean, the LCD screens or the mobiles that we use, India pays a lot for it. So if fabrication or the semiconductor manufacturing, comes to India, definitely there will be a drop in the prices for us internally. And there will be many subsidiary industries that will develop around it, supporting the same semiconductor growth. So in the initiative that they took, the government is now giving 50% of the project cost from the center. They are getting the companies that will be working on this. They're getting 50% of the project cost support. And then the state government is giving 10 to 25%. They're getting subsidized land, some electricity fare reductions. And there is no target production set. Typically, when government invests, they always set a target production. But here, for the first time, because they see a huge potential growth for semiconductor and they know the stakes are high and the returns will be high, they have not set any target production goal, because initial years it will only be draining money. But when you look at the bigger picture, like 3 years from now or 7 years from now, right, the return that you get will be very high. So the companies which have received the approval are Micron, Tata, Renesas, and PSMC. So I'll just go over a couple of them, just a quick thing. So all of you will be knowing these are the companies that are setting up in India. So first one is Micron. Micron is setting up its facility in Sanand in Gujarat with 22,000 crores. And this is a ATMP. As I said, it's just a packaging facility. So the wafer will be fabricated or manufactured somewhere, might be in Taiwan. From Taiwan, they will ship, but the assembling happens here. And it is expected to generate, and the annual capacity is 17.5 million chips per day. And it is expected to be operational by end of this year. So, and Micron is a company which is more into memory. So when I was saying different types of chips, I mentioned about memory chips, wherein your data center stores all your data, right? So Micron falls into that category of data center chips, wherein all these are high density memory chips. Next is Tata Electronics, which is in collaboration with PSMC. They are coming up with a fab, and this one it is costing around 91,000 crores. As I said, fab is a very costly matter. It is because fab is the one that manufactures the entire design for you. So, and the capacity of this fab is going to be 50,000 wafers per month, and it is set to be operational from 2026. This is the first semiconductor fab facility that will get started in India, and this is also in collaboration with Tesla. Next, again, Tata standalone is doing a 27,000 crore investment under the scheme, and this is again for a ATMP facility which will be in Assam. So, and this is set to be operational from mid 2025. So, and the last one is Renesas. Renesas is doing a small investment again in an ATMP facility. ATMP and OSAT are very similar, just that the advanced technology or the packaging, they call it ATMP, and the older technology wise, they used to call it as an OSAT. So it is this facility is expected to be operational in 2029, and this is also in Gujarat. So if you see, right, the overall government wise and overall project wise, we are going to invest 148,000 crores overall in semiconductor industry. So only because the projections are high, the demand is going to be high, and it is the right time to enter into the market. So India is taking initiatives to do so. So from the government side, so overall they are investing $9 billion, that is 76,000 crores, and there are different schemes that they have started. So can India dominate the global semiconductor market? That is the next question, right? So currently, if you talk about India's chip industry, we are valued at around some 27 billion, and we are expected to reach 55 billion by 2026, which is almost close to double within just 2 years. So coming to the advantages that India has, we have an abundance of skilled and affordable labor. Politically, at least India is not rivals with the major other countries, and India has recently signed an MOU with the US, where the most of the design development happens. So if the design comes from US and then the assembly and the manufacturing happens in India, we are going to get a major share of that supply chain. And there's a massive local demand first, as I was saying, right? Our consumption, India's consumption of semiconductor itself is very high considering the population that we have and the number of cell phones or any other infrastructure that we use. And the challenges, main challenge will be from China, because China is already a major player and they have a head start where they're investing some 143 US billion dollars. So this is the funds that are already allotted, and they'll be ahead in the game with us. So to compete with China, it will be a different ball game. And then we should also leverage our design ties with other countries, like either it is Japan or South Korea, which already have good design wins. We should start leveraging that advantage of design, not start from scratch, because it will take a long time to enter the market. And having the right strategy, because you have something called designing, you have manufacturing. Should India focus on both designing and manufacturing, or should it focus only on manufacturing? So that right strategy decision, if it is taken, India can have its mark in the global semiconductor market. So this is just an overview of about how big the market is, the different components of the industries that are there around the semiconductor industry. Next, talking about the advancements in chip technology, I'll just take 2 or 3 examples just for you to understand the scope of it. So first, as I was saying initially, it is the artificial intelligence chips. So human brain can process to do certain complex amount of tasks, but if the data is becoming more and more and extending into a huge GB of data, so it becomes difficult for the human brain to process it. So this is when we take the aid of AI chips. So wherein you feed the data to the AI chip, you train it to do what is the operation that you want to do. Let's suppose you want some sorting operation to be done. So you train the AI chip to do that operation for you. It will quickly do the sorting and it will give you the data. So you take advantage of the AI chip. So you take advantage of its speed, its capacity, and you take a leap on that. And next thing, the chips that AI chip designs that you have, they take little less amount of, when you say clocking speed, it's basically the speed at which it processes. So less clocking speed in the sense much faster. It is much faster. And then you also, can push more design into a limited area. So as I was saying, there's a shrinkage in the size of the chip as we move technology to technology, right? So you can make the chip more dense and you can push more logic into a small area of the chip. So the other advantage that you get from it is, if you are reducing your, less clock frequency or you're speeding up your access, right? So whatever time you take to do a job, it will be reduced. So typically earlier, let's suppose if it is taking some hours to process that entire data, now when you're increasing the speed, so it will be done in a few minutes. So when you do it in few minutes, you're automatically saving cost for the companies. So yeah, this is the role AI will play, and in the chip market mainly. Next one is about the self-driving cars. So Tesla, and there are many companies who are moving into the driverless cars or the self-driving cars, and that is a market which has a huge, future. So if you take US and other countries, there are many people who are now owning, Tesla's driverless cars. So there's a minimum amount of intervention from the user. You enter your location and then you just monitor how the vehicle is driving. It automatically, turns your steering, it does lane changes, it adjusts your speed based on whether the lane is free or not. So it understands the traffic signals, and it detects different objects or people that come in front of your car. So this is the next advancement that you will see in the chip technology. You will find chip technology advancing into this driverless cars, and that's a very huge market space. And the last one I want to talk about is implanting chips in the human brain. This is something which Elon Musk has recently quoted. So they were able to put a chip into a human brain and they were able to establish a neural link. That means, let's suppose the best example I can give is you have a person who has paralysis. Say there's one section of the brain which is not working. Okay, one section wherein he's not moving his hand or something. But if you do a thought in your mind, you'll be able to move your hand now. So any defect, sensory or motor defects that you have, right, you'll be able to overcome with the help of chips. Okay, so this is the next level of advancement that we are moving into. The trial run or the first implementation is already deployed and it has worked. So we have to wait and see how further ahead it will go. Yeah, so yeah, this is what I wanted to cover on chip technology and in general the advancements that are there and how big the market is and what is India's position in that. I hope I was able to give little information. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. I mean, really very informative, and how technology can advance in human body. It's something unheard of. I mean, So thank you so much. We have few questions from the participants.
Okay.
One of them saying, how does the global semiconductor shortage affect India?
Okay. So recently, if you take COVID time, right? COVID time, there has been a slowdown in the car supply chain because the main chip that has to, go into the car, the production has stalled because of COVID and all situations. Taiwan was not manufacturing, or there was no shipment coming from Taiwan, and the car industry is hit. So definitely every industry will be hit now with the current advancements in chip technology. Anything that happens in the supply chain of the chips, every industry will be hit, and we recently saw it with COVID.
Okay, thank you. One more is, what are the recent India semiconductor import restrictions and regulations designed to support domestic industry growth, especially from China?
So from China wise, currently there is no major restriction, I can say. So mainly India does not have a manufacturing facility on its own as of now, right? So it's only imports and exports that we do. So everything is manufactured somewhere, assembled somewhere. We are only the consumers of it. So it is the standard imports, exports that we have that happens, but not from a chip point of view, because currently we are not directly manufacturing or, assembling anything. So directly we are not impacted by it.
And is Vedanta also coming in semiconductor manufacturing field?
Yes, that's right. Vedanta is also entering manufacturing field. They are also setting up a fab facility, but I think that is further down, but Vedanta is also setting up.
Okay. So I think there are certain people who want to reach you. I don't know. I think they should connect with the institute probably. I don't know if you can give your details or something.
Yeah, I can drop my phone number so they can reach me on my
Sure.
WhatsApp. That should be fine.
I think this is what we have till now for the questions. Thank you so much, ma'am. I mean, really, it was a very mind-blowing session, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So on behalf of WMEC, I would like to convey my gratitude to Preeti ma'am for this amazing initiative of initiating Yashaswini series. And thanks to our wonderful speaker, Ms. Lakshmi Sindhu, for prizing us. And also my gratitude to all the participants for taking time to join the session and making it successful. Thank you so much. Over to you, Preeti ma'am.
Hello, am I audible? Oh,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you so much. Thank you. I think a lot of insights we have got from this session, which is very novel and innovative sessions as a chartered accountant fraternity. Because this kind of knowledge we hardly receive. We are just into the tax and audit and some new areas. But technology is also important part, and this will go a long way. And actually, I feel that we need to do a lot with your help, Sindhu, because where we are lacking is the technology only. So we can do a lot, and as a woman especially, if we have a lot of our time will be saved if we use this technology in our routine, in our office and as well as at our home. If we use even mobile technology also, lot of apps we are not knowing and not using also. So if all this technology, if we can use at its level, no, we will be able to do save a lot of time and can do with a lot of perfection. So, and your session was amazing. Thank you very much for being here, taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your very valuable knowledge with all of us. Thank you very much, Sindhu.
Yeah, thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah, and Pooja, Preksha, Shruti, I also thank all of you for being part of, and like Preksha, yeah, for part of this series. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us that opportunity.
Thanks.